Okay, let's dive right into this. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we are unpacking a truly chilling piece of regional folklore straight from the source material. We're going to be looking at the story of a 34-year-old vegetable vendor named Ajay. He's from the really small, quiet village of Rampur. And guys, this is a narrative that just perfectly blends supernatural dread with raw human desperation.
But before we get into the details, I want you to picture this. If you heard your own voice calling to you from outside your locked door, would you open it? That incredible psychological dilemma is at the absolute heart of the terrifying countdown we're about to explore today. How exactly does a simple, everyday vegetable run turn into a fight for survival against something that can literally steal your identity?
Well, to understand how Ajay ends up in this nightmare in the first place, we have to look at his motivation. The source material has this incredibly powerful quote: "There is no ghost bigger than the fire of an empty stomach." You see, Ajay is desperate. It's a Saturday night and he absolutely has to travel to the city to buy bulk vegetables. Why? Because he needs to pay his son Ramesh's school fees and get his mother's medicine. Now, a village elder named Karamchand explicitly warns him against traveling the jungle road at night, but poverty pushes Ajay forward. He simply can't afford to be afraid.
That brings us to Section 1, the desperate midnight journey.
So before Ajay even leaves the house, his wife Rani practically begs him to stay. Earlier that day, she'd been gathering firewood near the edge of the Dongri jungle, and she noticed this strange rotting smell in the wind. Just the smell of decay. And sure enough, as Ajay enters the dense Dongri jungle, a place so incredibly thick that moonlight can't even pierce the canopy, the temperature suddenly drops. And there it is. That exact same smell of decay fills the air, right alongside this awful sound of branches scraping together that sounds like thousands of weeping women.
Ajay is on a seriously tight clock here. He enters the jungle at 10:30 p.m. He starts feeling these unseen presences just running alongside him in the bushes, but he pushes through and he safely reaches Madan Lal's city shop at 11:45 p.m. Okay, so he loads up this massive, heavy bamboo basket with tomatoes, eggplants, and cabbage. But before he leaves, Madan Lal gives him a hyper-specific warning. He tells Ajay that on his way back, he absolutely must not cross the ancient peepal tree in the middle of the jungle at exactly 12:20 a.m.
Moving on to Section 2, Rules of the Chhalawa.
So, what exactly is Ajay walking into out there? Well, the source defines the Chhalawa as a shape-shifting entity, or basically a deadly illusion. It becomes highly active on Saturday midnights. And what makes this particular folklore so fascinating is that it doesn't just attack you blindly, it preys on human psychology. It feeds on deception, trickery, and disorientation. It literally turns your own senses against you.
Based on the warnings from the villagers and the shopkeeper, there are 3 very distinct rules for surviving this thing. Rule 1, do not cross the old peepal tree at 12:20 a.m. Rule 2, if it speaks to you, never answer its questions. And Rule 3, return what belongs to it. I actually invite you to keep this mental checklist handy as we follow Ajay heading back into the pitch-black jungle, carrying this massively heavy basket of vegetables on his head. Let's see if he actually follows them.
Which brings us to Section 3, the 12:20 a.m. encounter.
As Ajay reaches the exact center of the jungle, the wind just completely dies. Dead silence. And wouldn't you know it, it is exactly 12:20 a.m., right near the old peepal tree. Rule number 1 is officially broken. Suddenly, from behind the tree, a figure emerges. It just looks like an ordinary village woman holding a basket. She walks right up to him and asks, "Oh brother, what's the price of eggplants?" Ajay is absolutely terrified. His throat is totally dry, but he remembers rule number 2. He desperately stays silent, completely refusing to answer her, and just quickens his pace.
But the woman keeps following him. She's asking about the cabbage, the tomatoes, and then Ajay looks down and he makes a truly horrifying realization. The woman has no feet. Literally, no feet. And the very moment he notices this, the illusion drops entirely. The entity sheds its disguise and reveals its true form, this terrifying, grotesque witch. As he's running, the witch starts taunting him. She starts talking about how soft the skin on his neck looks, actually comparing it to the tomatoes in his basket. And then suddenly, the physical laws of reality just warp. Ajay feels his bamboo basket magically increase in weight. It feels like it weighs thousands of kilos. The source actually describes it as if an invisible demon is actively riding on top of his head. He's totally losing his balance, just sprinting for his life toward the distant lights of his village.
Section 4, The Witch at the Door.
So Ajay actually manages to outrun her to the village, which sets up this completely impossible dilemma. He's violently banging on his own wooden door, screaming for his wife, Rani, to open it up. But Rani is terrified inside. She knows the lore. She knows that the Chhalawa mimics loved ones to get inside and consume the family. So the entity plays its absolute trump card. It stands right behind Ajay and perfectly mimics his exact voice, screaming at Rani to open the door, claiming that the man in front is the imposter.
Put yourself in Rani's shoes for a second. Which voice do you trust? Outside, there are two identical voices pleading for their life. And what makes this so intensely stressful is that the witch is now only 10 feet away from Ajay. She's spewing black smoke from her mouth, ready to kill him right there on his doorstep. Rani literally has seconds to make a decision.
So Rani thinks fast and devises this brilliant test. She yells through the door, asking them to name the secret pet name they use for their son. It's a name that only the real Ajay would know. Without missing a beat, Ajay shouts, "Golu!" Recognizing the truth, Rani finally throws open the heavy latch.
Now we're at Section 5, Breaking the Curse.
The second that door opens, the witch lunges. She stretches out these freakishly long arms to grab Ajay. With no other option left, Ajay takes his massively heavy basket and just smashes it directly into the witch's face. The tomatoes and eggplants scatter all over her. And hey, turns out checking your groceries is a totally valid defense mechanism. Because here is the surprising twist. The witch screams in agony. Back at the city shop, some strange soil had mixed in with the vegetables. When this specific dirt touches her, it burns her skin literally like acid. And that gives Ajay just enough time to fall inside so Rani can lock the door.
But wait, they aren't safe yet. The witch is outside, clawing at the door, threatening to completely break it down. And it's right here that Ajay recalls the wisdom of that village elder. What you see is not truth. What you hear is not truth. The Chhalawa only attacks those holding a piece of it. The entity isn't just attacking him randomly. Ajay unknowingly took something that belongs to her.
And here is the massive reveal. Ajay remembers that back at the vegetable shop, a strange, knotted root had fallen into his basket. He thought it was just some weirdly shaped vegetable and left it in there. He pulls it out of his pocket now and realizes with absolute horror, it's not a root, it's a bone. It is the witch's severed finger. By carrying it all this way, he unknowingly gave her power over him. He literally invited her to track him.
To save his family, Ajay has to follow rule number 3, return what belongs to it. So he grabs a burning torch, steps back outside, and locks his family safely indoors. He has to follow these terrifying steps. First, he waves the bone, luring this massive witch back through the dark village streets and all the way back into the jungle. He actually trips, nearly getting his throat slashed by her cold nails, but he survives. Finally, he reaches the ancient peepal tree and throws the bone deep into a crevice in its roots. The exact moment the bone connects with the earth, the witch is engulfed in violent flames. She's pulled into the tree in a massive fiery explosion. The curse is broken.
Ajay survives the night. He arrives back home at dawn, bloody but alive. The Chhalawa is buried forever. But it leaves us with a deeply unsettling thought. We navigate the world assuming everything is just as it seems. But as this folklore brilliantly illustrates, sometimes the most mundane things hold the absolute darkest secrets. So the next time you pick up a stray, unidentified object in the dark, who might come looking for it? Thank you so much for joining me on today's Explainer, and I'll see you next time.